So the Toltec Path to Freedom, this talk today is going to be a combination of the teachings of my teacher, Don Miguel Ruiz, who I studied with for over 10 years and now am blessed to teach with the Ruiz family, as well as what I've learned from walking my path and from teaching and living the work. And that's one of the gifts of Toltec. Toltec means artist of the spirit. And the Toltecs gather information. Basically, the motto is basically whatever works. So if there's something important that it's like, this is a piece, then we use it with great respect. Because what we're moving towards is freedom. And when you're moving on a path towards freedom, and what we mean by freedom is freedom to be exactly who we are. Freedom to let go of the past, to let go of what we think we're supposed to be, to let go of the way we have held ourselves that doesn't serve us, so that we can find authentically what's true for us and bring our light into the world. For the Toltec, each of us is a unique ray of light. Each of us is a specific ray, and we're here to rediscover that ray. I love in the Native American tradition, some of the Native American traditions talk about that each of us has a song that we're here to sing, and that our role is to find that song. And it's the same thing with the Toltec. We're here to find our light, what's specifically our light, and shine it out into the world. Without filters, without trying to make it something other than it is. Okay. So that's what freedom is. And freedom is really the ability to make a choice in the moment. To make a choice that's based on your truth, not based on your path, your past. Okay. Seems so simple, but there's so much past. Okay. So there's a lot of past that's directing us and guiding us, and there's also a lot of present that's directing us and guiding us. What do I mean by that? What do I mean by there's a lot of present directing and guiding us?
Everyday life.
Everyday life.
When you get up, you have to do this, do that.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Yeah. So there's what needs to be done. Mm-hmm. There's also everybody's opinions about who you should be. There's also the roles that we're playing in different areas. So even the most simple role of the basic role we have right now, well, I guess human would be a more basic role. Okay, but what's right after human? What's one of the first things we ask when somebody has a kid? Gender. Is it a boy or a girl?
Yeah.
Okay. Immediately, try not to ask that. It's really hard. It's really amazing. So one of the foundations we have around roles is gender roles, male, female. Okay? And that starts really young, pink or blue. Okay. And then from there, we take on other roles. What are some of the other roles that we take on? And globals, feel free at any time to chat. Stephanie's standing by. So if you have anything that you want to add, then she'll speak it out loud if you have any questions. Okay. So after gender, what are some of the other roles that we take on?
Well, job is the obvious one.
Yeah, job is the obvious one.
Religion.
Religion, exactly.
Relationship.
Mm-hmm. What else?
School.
School. Parenthood. Mm-hmm. All roles. Nothing wrong with the role, except the role is often really fixed. And even if we don't fit in the role, when we step into it, it's very difficult to hold our identity because the role dictates how we should be. People see us, well, you should be a mom, therefore you should be da-da-da-da-da. Or you're a student, therefore da-da-da-da-da-da. Or you're male, therefore da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. Whether that's true or not for us. Okay. Other people hold that, and we start holding that for ourselves as well. There's also roles that we take on, like good girl, rebel, spiritual. That's a role. So what other type of roles like that do we take on?
How to behave conversation that you should have as a woman.
How to behave in a conversation that you should have as a woman.
Because, why should you talk about, like, my language is Spanish, and there's not a word in English that you can find for a man to sleep around a lot. So there's so many words for females, derogatory.
In Spanish, yes.
And in English too. And
true.
it's like, wait a minute, they're both doing the same thing.
Yes.
So,
but there's a particular role.
They're roles.
Yeah, exactly. And one's okay and one is not. In that particular role that you're talking about. Yeah. What else?
Protector, provider.
Yeah, protector, provider, exactly. So even the ones that we see as good roles, they're still roles that may or may not serve us. Then there's also all the agreements that we make. So roles are agreements. We also make agreements with ourselves based on what we learn externally. So in a minute, I'm going to map. This is so fun. I'm going to map the Toltec Cosmology, which is a model to help us understand energetically what we're here to do. And when I first learned this map from Miguel, I totally did not understand it. Luckily, he taught it several times, and my friend took really good notes. And since then, I've digested it and really saw how profound it is in helping us to stay clear to get to our own freedom and what that actually takes. So we've been talking about roles, and then there's also agreements that we make with ourselves, agreements that we make in our families, agreements that we make in our religion, agreements that we make with our school, agreements that we make with our job. Okay, and the most important agreements are the ones we make with ourselves. And we make millions of agreements with ourselves about how we should be, about how others should be. Just those agreements create so much suffering. Imagine if you had no agreements of what anybody else should be doing. If you had no expectations around how other people should be in the world. How would you?
Very free.
You'd be very freeing, right?
Sorry.
Yeah. There'd be no judgment, there'd be no they should be. Why aren't you? And then we do the same thing with ourselves, where we have all these definitions of what we should be living up to. And we create, a lot of times we create an image of ourselves, of this is how I should be. This is how I should be. If I was a good Christian, if you're raised in a Christian household, if I was a good wife, if I was a good, name the role, right? If I was good in this particular, if I'm a good person on a spiritual path, this is how I will be. And we gather that information not from one source, but from many sources. Okay, making it impossible to live up to. Completely impossible. And I've tried. Okay, so you guys don't have to do the research. I have done it. What I've learned from the research of trying to be perfect on every front is that if you reach your mind's idea of what perfect is, what do you think happens? It sends a new bar. Yeah. The mind doesn't go, you got it, you are good, okay, whew, good job. It goes, that was all right. But if you were really spiritual, okay, if you were really good at your job, it would be here. So it just raises the bar. So this idea of perfection, of that we can meet the role, is a lie. It's a complete lie. It's not true. And we create all sorts of suffering for ourselves by comparing ourselves to who we think we should be. Just as we create all sorts of suffering when we think this person should live up to the role I have of them. Okay, yeah, question.
I was wondering, since all human beings create these roles, I was kind of wondering why, or if you had any thoughts on why we did that, because it seems to create so much suffering for us all, but there must be some sort of possibly evolutionary reason.
Yeah, it's a great question. Why? Why do we do this to ourselves? And is there an evolutionary? What's the reason? And you'll get the answer on the map. One of the reasons. What I'll say is this: it's a really wonderful game to play around connection and separation, and coming back to connection. So that's the simple answer. Yeah. There's a great Hindu story that Miguel once told me of that Brahma was hanging out with someone, I don't remember who he was hanging out with, and he was asking around the nature of reality and humans and stuff. And he goes, go get me a glass of water. Why don't you go to Earth and get me a glass of water? Okay. So he goes to Earth and he has a glass and he's about to dip it into the river and he sees a woman drowning in the river. So he puts the glass down, he jumps into the river, he grabs her, he pulls her out, saves her life, and they look at each other and they fall in love. So he has now forgotten completely about Brahma. They go, they build a house, they have a kid. The story goes on and on and on and on of all the things that happen. And at some point she dies or she's dying and he's in big turmoil and trauma and Brahma comes and goes, hey, where's my water? Oops. The ways that we create this illusion that we're dreaming. So it's a great dream, but the truth is the idea that we are finite, that we're just this physical body and that's it, is not true. We're so much more than just this physical body. We're so much more than just the experiences that we have in this lifetime. We're really eternal, and we happen to be incarnate in this form as spirit at this time, and we will then pass out of this form into something else. When we let go of the big picture and just focus on this human having experiences, it seems really, really real, and it is real, and it's beautiful. The places that we believe that we're separate then create the suffering. When we step back just a little bit and open up to the fullness, which our minds really can't grasp. Okay? Our mind's not so good at holding the big, big, big picture. But when we're able to do that, we start to recognize that it's seamless and that we're connected to everything. And from that point of view, all experiences are fabulous. Doesn't always feel like it in the moment. But we get to be part of life. So let me do the model, because that's going to answer. It's so fun. I need pens. Can you hand me right there? Let's see if these ones work. Thanks, Susan. She's coming closer.
Yes. So my brain doesn't go.
Humans are an incredible mix of animal and divine. We are half animal and half spirit. So we're half physical and half etheric. So we have this amazing gift of the union of these two seemingly opposite, if our mind is involved, but not opposite at all if our mind's not involved, aspects of self. And coming into freedom is about honoring both the animal part of ourselves as well as the spirit part of ourselves, as well as the divine. The animal is connected to life and experience, to this physical plane experience, and spirit's connected to everything, to the big picture. So it's a good place for us to start, is that recognition that we're a marriage between animal and divine. Good music. So, when we talked about the ray, that each of us has a specific ray, and how that's portrayed, we can say, is that as a little sliver of light, and that when that incarnates for the first time, it gets what we call this egg, which is what we call the big soul. So this is the part of you that's eternal, that goes from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime. So it's a representation of that energy, that light. And if you've ever read any of the books about life after death or people around reincarnation, whether or not you believe in reincarnation, this model still works. I'll show you why. But it's fascinating to see people's experiences with stuff that supposedly is not real in the popular culture. It's starting to change now because there's just so much evidence that we're not just this physical body. There's so much evidence now that we have many different incarnations and that this is just one of them. So this is a part of us that's internal, that is not born and does not die. It's not born and does not die. Welcome. Yeah. So when we are born, what do we get when we're born? What's the gift you get when you're born?
A body.
A body! You get a body! Okay. Yay! The Buddha said that one of the biggest gifts we get is a body, is physical form. Because in physical form, we then have the anchor to create transformation. We then have the experiences to create transformation in our lives. So we get a body, and this is the representation of physical and energetic body. Welcome. So the body's not just the physical body, it's also the energetic body. The energetic body permeates the physical body completely and is larger than the physical body. But it's not separate. It completely permeates every cell of the physical body. And we're very sensitive energetically. And this is part of what the gift of the Toltecs is the Toltecs studied perception. They're very, very interested in perception. And they gathered in Central and South America, and what their focus was on exploring how do we create our reality as humans? How do we dream? How do we dream? And in that learning how we dream, how can we then become more conscious to choose what we want to be dreaming? So if we have the capacity to dream our reality, that means we have the capacity to change how we're dreaming. And the Toltec work really strongly on an energetic, looking at the energetics of how we are in the world. So here's an interesting thing of the energetics of most humans. Most humans today look like colanders on the energetic front. You know what a colander is? You put something in, it comes out. Okay? Because most of us were not trained to hold our energetic body. Okay? Most of us, our moms didn't sit us down in the knee and go, honey, I know it looks like your physical body, but you are pure energy. And there's physics to back this up. Let's talk about quantum physics. Okay. And here's how to maintain your energy body. Most of us didn't get that piece. We learned how to balance checkbooks, maybe. How to take care of the physical body, maybe. More or less. How to get by physically in the world. But most of us never learned about the energetic body. And what's happened with our energy body when it's not maintained is that we tend to lose energy. Can you turn down I don't know if it's coming from your speakers or from the computer, but it's echoing. It might be from that one. Yeah.
I think it's from this.
Thanks, baby.
While that is there, can we turn that just a little bit?
This way or the other way?
Yeah, that way. Let's see if they can see that better. They're
Okay.
global, so they can't see it.
Okay.
Much better.
Much better. Yay! Thanks for asking. And I'll make it darker so you guys can
Okay.
see. It's just one circle, though. Don't get ideas. Well, we can say it's the energy body. So one of the biggest keys to reclaiming our freedom for the Toltec is learning how to increase our energy. And one of the best ways to increase our energy is to start to pay attention to where we lose it. So as we're moving in the world, where we tend to lose energy. When we're not paying attention to our energy body, we're constantly leaking energy. Okay? And you can see what that feels like. Where's an experience that you've had? I'll ask you. Where's an experience that you've had where you felt like you lost energy?
Anytime I'm in fear.
Anytime you're in fear, exactly. Anytime you're in fear. And how are most of us trained is in fear. A lot of the training we get as youngsters is based in fear. Don't do that. That's really bad. You have to do really well in school because if you don't, you're not going to amount to anything. Okay? How are you feeling? What other fear-based things were we told? What other fear-based things were you told as kids as a kid that you can think of?
Living up to religious beliefs, or you're going to go to hell.
Right, living up to religious beliefs or you're going to go to hell. That's slightly fearful. I heard the greatest line the other day from at a Deva Premal concert. Meaton said, religion is for people who are trying to avoid hell, and spirituality is for people who have been there.
Yep.
So what other things are we told around fear?
Don't do that. If you do that, that guy's gonna think you're a slut and you're not gonna get married.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, don't act that way. Don't wear that. Don't. Mm-hmm.
Don't go to that area of town after dark.
Don't go to that area of town after dark. You'll get killed. Something bad will happen.
Don't go out after dark.
Don't go out after dark.
Just don't go out there. It's dark.
Yeah.
So get out when the dark will get you.
Don't quit your job if you don't have another one lined up.
Don't quit your job if you have another one lined up because that could be really, really bad. I had a friend who had a mother who was constantly in fear, and they had a great joke to remind them to not go into fear as much. He said to his mom, I'm going to go to the lobby. They were at a hotel. I'm going to go to the lobby. And she goes, oh my God, you're going to the lobby? Like all this fear. So anytime my friend and her partner started to go fear, oh my God, you're going to the lobby? To remind them how ludicrous their fear was. Okay. So there's physical fear, which is good. Physical fear is beneficial. Okay. The bus is coming at me, and I'm in the middle of the road. That fear, what happens when you have fear that's around physical safety? What happens to your body?
Fight or flight.
Yeah, fight or flight. So suddenly you have a tremendous amount of energy and adrenaline to act. Okay, to either fight, which I wouldn't recommend fighting a bus, or to flee, which is the better choice. Yeah, better choice. Okay, so that's beneficial. That fear is beneficial. So we say, yay, thank you that I have an ego. Thank you that I see myself as a separate self. Because if you didn't have an ego, and you didn't see yourself as a separate being, you would probably be dead. Truly. Because why would you need to take care of this form? It's all one anyway. Okay. It's really cool that we get another piece when we're born, which is what we call the little soul. And the little soul happens, I love this. So this is your unique ray of light, but this is also a unique part that's only with this physical form. And we get the little soul the moment we open our eyes and we see the light for the first time. And what happens is there's a whole... The light comes down and messes with my... Oh, actually it goes this way. There we go. That's why it's going. Thank you, baby. When we open our eyes and see the light for the first time, there's another part of us that's born. And what's so cool about this is a model. Okay? So the model's helpful to help us get the biggest picture. Is it the absolute truth? No, because if I can describe it, it's not the absolute truth. If I can put it into words, it's not the absolute truth. Because anytime we put anything into words, we're taking it down. One of the biggest arguments I've ever been in around a spiritual path was with another Toltec. This was in Scotland, and it was one of the funniest, weirdest experiences. This public talk, there's like 80 people in the room, and there's a Toltec going, yeah, but the Toltecs are the only ones that see energy. They're the only ones that see energy properly. And I was like, what? No, they're not. There's people see energy in all sorts of paths. No, the Toltecs are the only ones that see energy. We had a great debate about it. So the Toltecs are not the only ones that see energy. This is not the only model. But you'll see why it's a really amazing model that our minds can grasp to help support us on our path. Okay? That's the whole point of this. So the mind can grasp it to help support us on our path. As energy bodies, we're in communication with the divine, with spirit, and for the Toltec it's represented by the sun, by light. That light is not inert. Light has information. And we're moving into a period of what's called the sixth sun right now. That the fifth sun was, the information that was coming from the fifth sun was about everything going underground, basically. So just like the Mayans, the Toltecs had prophecies knowing that during a particular period of time, all the teachings were going to go underground. And that when the sixth sun happened, all the Toltec teachings would come back into the world again. That sixth sun happened in 1992, the beginning of the sixth sun. So 2012, 1922. I figure if you're within 100 years of a prophecy, you're doing good. Right? I mean, these are like 5,200-year cycles that we're talking about. So give or take 100 years, we're in the range. There's change happening. There's change happening. We really know that. And we can see that with the Toltec, because the Toltec teachings did go underground when the Spanish invaded Mexico. And all of the main teachers, all the main Toltec teachers made the decision to hide the teachings, to only take on apprentices one at a time. And they dispersed because they didn't want the Spanish to get the teachings. They didn't want it to go into the wrong hands, basically. And it wasn't until Carlos Castaneda met Don Juan, and Don Juan started encouraging him to bring the teachings back out into the world, that the Toltec started resurfacing in a big way. And there's a lot of different Toltec lineages all around the world. There's a great lineage in South Africa. There's another Toltec lineage in Louisiana.
Wow.
Don Miguel is Eagle Knight lineage, so out of Mexico City area, Aztec. Okay. And the Toltecs split and went between the Mayans and the Aztecs. Okay. So the information got split and then went underground. And it's just now starting to come back, which is so fun. We're in a relationship with energy, with life, and we're constantly in communication with life, with energy. And so it's giving us information around the dream that's happening, and we're uploading information around our dream. Here's the image, which I love. If you can imagine that there's a theater, and that in every seat of this theater there's a projector. Okay, so imagine that every seat of the theater has a projector, and all the projectors are projecting onto one screen. Okay. That is what is called the dream of the planet. It's the way all humans are dreaming, projecting out. Okay. And that projection, if you use your imagination, that projection is then feeding back to all the humans that are taking that information in and then projecting out based on the information that's coming back to them. And we can really see the way humans dream right now by looking at the media, okay, by looking at advertising. When you look at the media, you look at advertising. So if you look at the front page of the paper, what are you going to see? If you turn on the 5 o'clock news, what are you going to hear? What's being reflected back to us?
Politics right now.
Yeah, right now, politics.
Warfare.
Yeah.
Fear.
Lots of fear. Okay. Every once in a while, there's a nice, good, feel-good story. Yay, something great happened. Okay? But most of what's fed back to us right now, and it's changing. This is so cool. It is shifting. It is changing because we're changing. And we're affecting the dream. So it is changing. And a lot of what is reflected is fear. And it's not the media that's making that. We're doing it because we're projecting, and it's just reflecting back. It's just a mirror that's reflecting back to us what we want or what we're used to. Maybe not even what we want, what we're used to eating. I was just horrified the other day. I was helping someone with a computer, and they were watching... Oh, I shouldn't... Excuse me. They were watching this very interesting show called The Real Housewives of New Jersey. No, excuse me, yeah.
How much do you really want?
Very fascinating. The amount of backbiting and gossip and hatred and unbelievable. And I thought, this is what we're doing?
And then they're all friends at the end.
No, these women were not friends.
Okay.
Not in this one. Or we hadn't gotten there yet.
Okay.
It was impressive. And again, it's not creating that. We're creating it, and it's getting reflected back. So, in that reflection then, we're all projecting. There's a film, yes? The film is our filters, it's our stories. It's who we think we should be. It's all of our life experiences. It's all the fear that we've learned. And then there's the light. The light's who we really are. The light is who we really are. The light is shining through all these stories and projections. The film is then going to the screen is then reflecting it back to us. We're taking that data in and creating more stories. Okay. If we start cleaning the film up, what happens on the screen? So if there's less stuff on the film, what starts to happen?
We have a better reflection.
There's more light.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's more light. There's more pure essence spirit shining through. And even if you're in a theater where all of these people have all of these filtered stories, but there's one person that starts just shining pure light, that affects everyone. And that possibility opens the window and opens the door for people to start making change. Isn't that cool? Okay? So all you're responsible for is your film. That's all you're responsible for. And here's how we create our little film. The creation of a human film. So, secondary little person or little being. So this is what we call your little soul. So this is also called ego, personality, or in the Toltec parasite. What this is it's a part of you that believes it is separate. Okay? This is a part of you that knows it's not separate. This is the part of you that believes it's separate. Okay? This is not bad or wrong. It's pretty cool, actually. Because again, there's a lot of benefits to having a personality. Okay? Let's name 3 benefits, because the ego gets such a bad rap, and it just makes me sad. It's just innocent.
Keeps you from fighting with a bus.
Keeps you from fighting with a bus. Okay? Or going, bus, I love you. We're all one.
Brings balance.
Brings balance.
To
Makes
all
things
their different
interesting.
personalities.
Yeah, it brings balance to different personalities.
It protects you.
And it protects you.
Individuality.
Individuality. Look how cool, just in this room. Look around. Isn't that awesome? How fun is that? If you just think of all the things that humans have created, it's because of this and this working together. You'll see why. Okay? But this is a piece of it. So it's not inherently evil. What happens, though, is it starts feeling separate, and then it starts getting fed fear. It starts believing stories of fear. And every time we believe a story that's based in fear, we start creating these little structures within us. Okay? So an example of a structure might be, what's a really common core belief that most of us have?
Not enough.
Not enough. I'm not enough. Okay, so something happens in your childhood, whether it happens specifically or you just pick it up from your family, where there's a feeling sense of I'm not enough. Okay, and what we often do is we feel victimized by that or we judge around that. Okay, so victimized, someone that's that the core is I'm not enough. So that's a structure that gets put in the being. And how I see it is that my first teacher, Vicki Noble, shared this, and I've always loved it, is that we're pure energy and pure light moving through. Okay, if you watch little kids 2 and under, you see that. They're just pure expression. Okay, pure expression. I am amazed sometimes of watching little bitty kids where their parents are reprimanding them or really upset, and the kid's like, like they have no, and then they go run up and play. Okay. At some point that changes and they start taking it personally and going, I'm doing something wrong, I need to change in order to make this person not be upset with me. But when we're really little, we've got so much life force, it just rolls right off. It doesn't make any difference what the adults are doing. That's cool, bye. Because we're just pure love. We're just pure light. We haven't started building these structures yet. Okay? A lot of times it's before language. So a lot of these structures are created from language, but not all. So imagine a belief, I'm not enough. What that is it's a structure in the body. So what used to be pure flow of energy through the body suddenly hits a structure. And we built a lot of structures in our being. Okay? So this is a representation. I'm not enough. When you're when you feel victimized by that, what's the kind of thinking that you would do if you felt victimized by I'm not enough?
You create a pattern.
You create a pattern. And what are the things, what's the self-talk that would happen?
Oh, I have to be better.
I have to be better. Yeah.
Have to do more.
Have to do more. Or I'm not enough because list of many excuses or people to blame. Okay, so looking outside to blame, looking inside to blame. From a judge point of view, I have to be enough. I'm better than them. I'm more enough than they are. I should be more enough than they are. So we get into these patterns of judging and feeling victimized. And that's what those little ones are. So we create this whole web over time, because we don't just have one little belief, do we? What's another one that you learned? Anybody? Any belief that you learned when you were growing up?
Don't share your emotions.
Don't share your emotions. Yeah.
Don't talk back.
Don't talk back.
That's the same thing.
And then you start having experiences that strengthen. Okay, and that's what these are. It's the judge and the victim, and it's experience that strengthen it. Okay? It's not like you have a thought, I'm not good enough, and then you never think about it again. You then start looking for evidence to show you you're not enough. We start filtering our reality. Here's how we create our reality. Okay? I shouldn't talk back. So then we look at every single time we talk back, and we get punished for it. And we ignore the places we talked back or spoke our truth and didn't get punished, because this is stronger. Okay, so we start actually filtering our reality. One more.
Conform to the social norm.
Conform to the social norm. Whatever that is. In the moment. Yep. Okay, and then we have experiences of why we should. And then, if we're really creative, then we rebel against the social norm because we're individuals. And that creates a whole other structure. It's still not you. It's closer. Excuse me while I adjust my bra. It's closer because at least now you're searching. So rebellion's great because it means you're searching, you're exploring, but it's still not you. Okay, so it also is going to have to be put into the fire. It's also going to need to be let go of. One more back there?
Yes, and
One.
we are taught how to lie by practice, because the parents say, don't lie, you're going to go to hell. But then somebody is a call for mom or dad. Tell them I'm not here. Tell them I'm not here.
Yes.
So the kid,
What do you want from me?
what? Telling me not to lie.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. You say we are taught to lie. And we'll do stuff as little kids that, I've had little kids say stuff to me that I think is really funny, and their parents are like, oh, I'm so sorry. It's like, it's okay. They're just speaking what the truth is. I don't care. So what happens is this is a medium. So this is our energetic being. This is a medium. And like I said with little kids, there's not a lot of structures, and so what happens is that this part of us just radiates love. It just radiates enthusiasm, it just radiates beauty, it just radiates, isn't this amazing we get to be in this body? Okay? It's life. And it's like, damn, there's dirt to eat. Yes! Okay. I loved her as a kid. And there's other kids to play with. This is so fun. So it just radiates out, and when it's radiating out, this part is totally held and totally feels connected because there's space. But then you see what happens. This starts putting its attention here and here and here and forgetting all about this. So our big soul doesn't go anywhere. It's not like it disappears. It does not go anywhere. It just gets covered up by all the beliefs. And our attention, and this is our attention starts getting hooked by the stories, by the agreements, by the roles, by who we think we're supposed to be, by the struggle. And it gets fixed. And so it can only see particular things. Okay? Another way that this is talked about in the Toltec world is as your assemblage point. And what the assemblage point is it's the place in your perception where you assemble your reality. Okay? When the assemblage point is free, it can move, and this isn't two-dimensional, this is three-dimensional. It can move anywhere on your energetic egg to perceive many, many different possibilities. To perceive incredibly different possibilities. But what happens is it starts getting locked in particular places. And you know that feeling where you can't stop thinking about something? Mm-hmm. It's because you really can't stop thinking about it, because you're stuck. Because you're stuck in a groove. Okay? And then what happens when you dream or you take drugs or you have really good sex or you have a really, really, really good day is the assemblage point can get knocked free. Boom, and suddenly it's free. And you go, oh, this is all one. I get it. Or you see something from a completely different point of view. It's because your assemblage point got knocked free. You can also try not sleeping for 3 to 4 days. That'll do it too. But you might not like the results. Because sometimes it gets loose and it gets stuck someplace in, it's not fair. But there's a lot of different things that can help us knock our assemblage point loose. Okay. So that's one of the things that helps us to wake up, to realize. The reason all of you are in this room is because you know there's something else. Which means at some point, somewhere, you had an experience that showed you there's something else. I was just interviewing a friend of mine today. I'm doing a series called The Toltec Path of Transformation, and she was talking about being a 2-year-old kid and singing at the top of her lungs the Beatles song, All You Need Is Love, and feeling just completely immersed in everything, and singing All You Need Is Love and feeling at peace, and then opening her eyes and looking at her family and going, this is just wrong. How did this happen? Because that was not her family's experience. That was not her family's experience. And she took that on. And it's taken her a long time to get back around to remembering what she knew as a 2-year-old. And each of us have those type of experiences many times throughout our lives of realizing there's more than what appears in front of me. Okay? So, what do? So there's a couple things to do. I love this model, it's so cool. And what happens, and let's just say this, what happens is that the assemblage point will move and suddenly you have direct access to yourself. It's not that you have direct access to God or direct access to, I mean, it is God too, it is life too, it is the divine too, it is spirit too, whatever you want to call it, but it's you. It's your light that's connected to everything. It's not outside of you. So there'll be these windows that open where suddenly you see yourself, the radiance of yourself coming through. So there's two paths I see. One is to do more things, to connect to your big soul. So, next, more inspiration, more connection, ignore the call from Illinois. So more inspiration, more connection. So what are the things that inspire, what are the things that make you feel connected or that invite you to reconnect to your big soul? So let's name a couple things. Love. Laughter, beautiful. Singing. Meditation. Art. Nature, beautiful.
Dancing.
Say it again. Dancing.
Helping others.
Service, beautiful. So just look at this list. Don't you feel better already? So more of this. Play. That was the other thing I was talking about with my friend today. More play. Going back to our natural state. What I've seen on people that are on a spiritual path, the more people clean their film up, the more they become like little kids. The more playful they become, because they're becoming more like their essence. Okay? They look serious sometimes, but you just scratch the surface, they're not. Hopefully. Or otherwise they're serious. And if they're serious, okay, so 1, more inspiration. 2, what do you think the second one is? Those of you that have been here, don't cheat. Clean the lines. Clean the structure. Okay? So clean the structure. So there's a lot of different tools around how we can clean the structure. So we can literally start, if I had a whiteboard, I'd start erasing. We can literally go in and start erasing these agreements. As we erase the agreements, what happens?
You create new paths.
You create new paths. Suddenly there's more space for more light to come out. It becomes easier. It becomes easier over time. The more you clean, the more space, the more light starts to come out, the more this part starts to go, oh, wait a minute, I'm not alone. With all this stuff in the way, this part of us feels I'm alone, there's no one that understands me, I have to do everything myself. Whatever these things are telling it, it starts to believe. But as these start to get erased, we start to feel I'm always held. I'm always connected. It's going to be okay.
Let it be.
Yeah, let it be. All you need is love. So clean the structures. So find tools to take action. Action. So let's talk a moment about transformation and freedom. Does it help to think about transformation? A little bit. A little bit, yeah. Does it help to sit on the couch and think about the actions you could take to find your freedom? Have lists of things you could be doing. It takes action. It takes action. And it takes the willingness to start to face some of these old beliefs that are really strong. So some of the easy ones are easy. So some of the surface ones are simple. You look at it, you just bring the light of your awareness to it, and it disappears. And it's gone. We love those. Those are like the giveaway. Okay? Where you have an awareness, you have an aha, you realize that's not true, and it disappears. Okay? Let's think of an example to make ourselves feel better. So an example of something that you brought your attention to it and it shifted right there on the spot.
That I'm connected to everything in the cosmos, to the mosquitoes, to my dogs, to the trees, to the birds. You are me and I am you, looking at each other. And when that realization, it was like something went through my DNA.
And clear, yeah.
And it was like, I don't have to be ashamed anymore because you are me. What is the worst thing that you can tell me if I ask you something? No. But I'm telling that to myself because you are me and I am you.
Beautiful.
So, I don't know. Something that happened.
Just a small thing that happened to her.
I don't know, a lot of more things. I just don't want to take the attention.
No, it's awesome.
But
It's beautiful.
when that happened, I almost fainted.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
And I cried
Yeah.
and
what
laughed
happened is you
yeah.
had this reconnected. And when this reconnects, you can't go back.
I don't want to go back.
Yeah.
I
Definitely
do
don't
not.
wanna go back. Yeah. But you might forget for a while, but you know what the truth is. Okay. So let's pick a little one. No, it's beautiful. It's perfect. Keely. We're just balancing.
It totally just dawned on me one day that if I stayed in a parking spot longer than 2 hours, I wasn't a really bad person, and I now feel more free.
Excellent. There's those silly ones that we realize, you just realize, wait a minute, I've held a belief that if I stay in a parking lot longer than 2 hours, I'm a bad person. And you look at it and you go, what? And it's gone. Okay? We love those. Freebies. Okay? It's gone. Because you realize how silly it is, how ludicrous it is. Okay? Then there's the ones that are deeper. So those ones get erased. We want to keep doing that, and this is where we keep increasing our awareness to look at what our beliefs are. Then there's going to be some beliefs that are core, that are really deep, and looking at it does not change it. Understanding it does not change it. Okay? They cycle back. Those are just the deeper ones. So with those ones, perseverance, that we keep going back. In my book, The Toltec Path of Transformation, I write a whole chapter about this, and it's a chapter about cleaning. Lots of different tools. And the analogy that I use is we sometimes treat ourselves in this really crazy way where we tell ourselves, well, I already cleaned that, it should be cleaned. Right? I already worked on that. I went to therapy, or I had that experience, I'm already done with that. But it's as if we're telling ourselves, I just washed those dishes yesterday. How can they be dirty again? Cleaning is about repetition. Things get dirty. You can't expect to just wash your car once every 10 years. We'd like to, but what's the reality? The reality is they get dirty. And the reality is, as you're in life, things are going to get triggered that are going to need to be cleaned. Okay, so we need to create the space in our lives to clean over and over again. And what I found is that when we bring joy to the cleaning, it's much easier. Okay, and since we know we're probably going to be cleaning for a while, I know all of us would just I know you came here because you expect that at the end I'm going to wave a magic wand and you're going to walk out completely free and merge fully with your divine self. So let's try. I would now use my immense powers. Wait, I'm sorry, wait, what am I doing? Yes. Done. Awesome. Now, if you happen to walk out the door and get triggered by something, go back to cleaning with joy. Oh, look, there's something to clean. Okay. And you'll start erasing stuff over time. So finding the joy in the cleaning, even when it's hard. And when it's really, really hard and you can't find any joy, then nourish yourself. Then feed yourself until you can get back to the joy.
So the beginning is an illusion and the ending is an illusion.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of like I don't know how to translate.
And the middle is an
It could
illusion.
take a whole life to undo all of that.
Lifetimes. Lifetimes.
But
of
it's
it.
not.
Yeah.
But it's not the beginning or the ending.
Right.
It's
Right.
the journey.
Exactly.
That's
Beautiful.
okay.
It's not the beginning or the ending, it's the journey. And it's so great. Stephen Levine is a phenomenal teacher. He works with people that are dying. Buddhist works with people that are dying. And he said, I can't tell you how many times I've been in workshops where Westerners have been weeping because they haven't reached enlightenment yet. And he's just flabbergasted. And I'm flabbergasted. I was raised in Asia, so I'm just like, what? Because for the Buddhists, they know, people that were raised Buddhist, they know it's lifetime. There isn't an illusion that I'm going to get enlightened this lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
If you were good enough, you would.
If you're good enough, you would. Right. Westerners, if you were good enough, if you were doing it right, if you were perfect, if you were spiritual enough, you would be enlightened this lifetime. Yeah, we put all this pressure on ourselves. Buddhists are like thousands of lifetimes. Okay, and maybe you'll wake up. Okay, doesn't that feel more spacious?
Mm-hmm.
You'll do as much as you can. Okay, so I'm running out of time and I haven't got to the best part yet. So, here's the best part for me. My favorite part. What happens at some point, in some lifetime, not because you're good enough, but from some amount of grace and perseverance, you erase enough of these, so they're gone. Imagine that I'm erasing them. What happens is that then this part can jump and merge with your essence. So basically these two parts merge. And there are humans that have done this. There's a lot of humans that have cleaned up a lot of stuff, and so they shine really brightly. There's very few humans that have actually made that jump and actually merged. But it's possible. And it's what we're here for, is to get back to that union. You know, we think it's a union out there. If I just find the beloved out there, it's not. This is the union that we're seeking, is that merging. Okay. And the cool thing, so we go for the lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. The cool thing is, when you die, what happens? What in this model, what goes away?
The body.
The body. First thing that goes away is the body. Bye-bye. So when you die, the first thing that goes away, the physical body, lets go and dissolves. Okay. Then the mind starts to go. The mind actually goes after the physical body. And by mind, what I mean is all these structures. Okay? The energetics. They hold on for a while. This part goes away. This part does not. This part does not. But what happens, you can imagine, every place that one of these things has connected to this egg, to this shell, creates a divot. So all of this goes away, all of this dissolves, but now you have little divots where each of those things attached. Okay? So you're now in spirit floating around, use both hands, with your little divots, and you're then incarnated into another body and another form. These divots are resonances. They're resonances of whatever the energetic was that didn't get healed. Okay, so some of those you heal, some of them you don't. And what happens is, I just think this is brilliant. This part wants us to remember our wholeness, and part of the way that it does that is it pulls the experiences. It has a resonance, so it pulls similar experiences. Not the same, but similar experiences to it. Because you have another chance now to clean it up. Yay! Another opportunity to clean it up. And you do that lifetime after lifetime after lifetime. So we got someplace in our last pass. Here we are cleaning it up, and we'll continue in the next. So as much as we can do is the gift. As much as we can do this lifetime around our own cleaning to get to freedom. Question, Juan?
Yes, we had the chance to clean it up or make it stronger.
Clean it up or make it stronger. Yeah, so that's the inspiration. Make this stronger by doing more things that let it shine.
I know, I mean, getting worse. If we don't do a conscious work, and we
right, I
do
see
it
what you're saying.
negatively, we rebuild it and they become stronger.
Yes, yeah, yes,
Negatively.
yeah, yes. So we do want to strengthen our capacity towards change and transformation. And one of the big ways that we do this, so here's what freedom is to me. Since this probably, I'm sorry to tell you, this probably isn't going to happen to you this lifetime, this jump. It's just not. It could. Okay, I'm not saying no at all. But take the pressure off. Okay, and see what happens. Just because you don't have that pressure on doesn't mean it's not going to happen. We think, well, I have to keep the pressure on because if I take the pressure off. What?
Well, it is by grace.
It's by grace. It's by grace. But what creates freedom is this. If I can embrace everything that I am, which means this and this and this, that comprises of this human in this experience, when we can come into acceptance of all of ourselves, we find freedom. And we know we're on a journey of unweaving, of unraveling, of remembering. And we can enjoy the journey.
And then it is by love.
And then it's by love. Yeah. If we can be in love with that scared part of us, if we can be in love with that part of us that thinks it's not enough, if we can be in love with the radiance that we are, if we can find love for all of it, we're free. Then we're free. That's doable. It's all doable.
So then there would be no bad parts of us in a sense.
Right.
It would all be good.
It'd all be
Parts
good.
of us.
All of us would be good.
Yeah.
There wouldn't be separation. Again, it's another way to work with ourselves. And I found it is the much kinder and faster way to be on a spiritual path. So many people have come to work in the Toltec work that were doing very deep work in other paths, and what they realized is that they were judging themselves through their path. They were using their path against themselves, basically. And that what was leading was the spiritual judge. Not so helpful. It can definitely get you down the road, just like fear can get you down the road. But at some point, its usefulness wears out. It's like coffee. Caffeine will get you that extra couple hours, but at some point, it stops functioning, and fear's the same way. So, to bring ourselves to connecting to freedom by connecting to acceptance, radical acceptance around all of us, connecting to unconditionally love ourselves and others the way they are. Because if you get this model, you can then forgive anybody. Because they're just acting out of what they brought in from the last lifetime. And they're also either cleaning or making it messier. Because they're watching too much of Real Housewives.
To me, at home, now that I understand a little bit, I have no right to tell my husband or my kids what they should do.
Right.
To me, I cannot enter into that space because his spirit is the one. But I also have to be very careful that I do not go into their space and feel their fear, because it is very scary now that I can feel it.
Yeah, yeah, and this
So-
is it's true for all of us. Is that in that theater where there's all these projectors projecting, and suddenly you start
wonder,
projecting. Yeah.
So it is okay until it starts feeling on me. Then no,
Yeah.
I don't want your gift. Thank you.
Yeah. And they have a right
So-
to do whatever they're doing, however they're doing it.
Yep.
And we can also then hold ourselves as sacred.
I've been reading a book called Journey of the Souls. I don't know if you've ever heard of that. Michael Newton. And it basically explains everything you've got on that board.
Beautiful. Yeah.
So if anybody wants to get, and some of it, you know, if you're not into that thought pattern, somebody could look at that and say, oh, that's so far out there. You know, but it's basically saying that, you know, you're born the light. But it says you're actually, the Creator creates the light. From there you go into your body eventually.
Yes. Yeah.
And then you come back and you have to be reviewed and
Yeah.
pick another one and go at it again.
And go at it again. Yay!
Yeah.
There's a lot of different models that reflect the same energetic.
Or similar.
Or similar, yeah, are similar. So it's great to have something to hold, so that when we're going, what am I doing here? We can go, right, I'm cleaning or I'm getting more inspiration. I'm cleaning this or I'm connecting to this. And hopefully you're doing both simultaneously. I'm connecting to this while I'm cleaning. I'm cleaning and I'm connecting to the divine. 2 for 1. So that's my path to freedom. So we have a question from Globals, and we're going to close in a moment.
The author of the book that was just mentioned.
The author of the book that was just mentioned, sweetie?
Oh, Journey of the Souls by Michael Newton.
Michael Newton. So Journey of the Souls by Michael Newton. Great. Excellent, yes.
I have a question. You were talking about the ability to be able to merge those and stay in that place. But and the probability is low that any one of us will get there. But we all have that potential.
Totally. And we will all get there.
And we
No
could
doubt.
in this very moment.
Exactly. Any second. Any second is completely probable. Yes. Yeah. Exactly.
But does that come with the what I call like the power of 3, where you have to fully understand that it's complete unconditional love, unconditional acceptance, and unconditional forgiveness, but not only to everybody, but also for ourselves, because we are our worst critics, so to speak.
Yeah. Yeah.
So once we can do the power of 3 and unforgive, accept, forgive, and love all unconditionally, the good and the bad, the ones that destruct and help on both sides, you love them all like they're your brothers and sisters, because they are, right? We're all related. So when you realize that if you accept all for what it is, and you love all unconditionally, even those who are in the negative and are, have just so happen to end up going an opposite direction, that allows you to set the soul free a little easier, so to speak. Because you have that full understanding when you look at somebody, even though they're growling, you're walking with grace, right? Because you have that understanding that, well, that you were once there too at some point in time, because we all experience the same emotions. We all experience the same traumas in our life, just through different experiences. But the emotions, because it's a feeling universe, we all go through the same emotions. And sometimes
I'm going to stop you, sweetie, because I've got people on global that can't hear, so they're going, what's going on?
Sorry.
So let me end the global part, and to just announce for the globals, remember the big picture. And also that starting, well, my book is now in the bookstores. Yay! So a new book called The Toltec Path of Transformation. It's actually a rebirth. So it's a book that I wrote in 2004 that I've rewritten and is being published again. So it's being reborn. Love it. So it's now available in bookstores. And then on October 13th, so next Saturday, we're going to do a huge book launch. So look for an email that'll be coming your way around that book launch and the really cool things that you can get as part of the book launch. Yay! It's exciting. Did I have one more thing on my board? Yes. Okay, so I've gone way over. Global folks that are part of the Be Free, part of our fall intensive, we're going to do a global deepening with Jai. So you can stay on the phone. He'll be on the same phone number. And then you can go to our paid webinar page, and you'll connect with Jai to answer questions to go deeper with the talk tonight. Okay, thanks, Jai. I'm happy you're going to be working with everyone. Blessings to each of you. Hope that you have a wonderful evening. And with something like this, it's wonderful before you go to bed to call up the images, the model of what you got from the model, and bring that into your dream time and see what arises. This is a really great thing to digest and make it your own, so that you really get what your path is, what your work is. Thanks. Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye.